Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and on Tuesday I did a video on Swampert, Gardevoir, Ninetales, so today I'm going to be giving you the metal version of this archetype, basically trying to copy the same shell that Robin did successfully with in the Latin American International Championships, and this time turning it over and making it into a Solgaleo build. And I'll talk about why I think Solgaleo is a great card for the format right now, and why its matchups are pretty solid. So it should be an exciting video, and straight off the bat, we know the shell works, so just throwing in a different Stage 2 from Gardevoir that can pose different threats and have a slightly different matchup spread seems to be an intelligent thing to try and accomplish. So let's go straight into the deck. I'm playing a 4-1-2-2 split of the Solgaleo. Bear in mind, Cosmog can use Dust Gathering in a pinch. Gonna play one copy of the Cosmoem. I'm actually incorporating the Ditto into this build. The more I tested with it, the Ditto is actually pretty nice. So I am gonna incorporate the Ditto and the Marshtomp to this build, even though I didn't on Tuesday. But yeah, evolving up into Cosmoem from Ditto can sometimes be nice and releases the pressure off of rare candies. So let's start off with the recent promo, the Sun and Moon 104 promo. Shining Mane is its ability, saying that you have no weakness. This is obviously really important to get going against Blacephalon. If you want to try and get your other Solgaleo developed, this is probably the first one you have to try and get built. Regardless, they can still one-hit KO you, but 250 is a big hurdle to get over. Turbo Strike does 120, and you can attach 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. This is going to be really good for recycling our attackers and making sure that we have multiple threats throughout the game. So really, really good, efficient attack cost. Slap a Choice Band on and we're going to 150. Sometimes that can synergize with the 30 spreads that we've either previously done or will be doing with Snowy Wind later down the line. So bear in mind, Choice Band can do some great math fixing for this attack. We also have the Prominence GX attack, allowing us to heal all damage from all of our Pokemon. This can really help out in our setup phase. If we don't really have, many energy in your discard pile, you don't feel that 120 is relevant damage. You can just heal your entire board in those early stages, save you trying to dig for a Max Potion, use them for later. And at the same time, it gives us a great matchup against Spread. Spread Mally and Coco Persimmon, those sorts of decks, we can definitely take advantage of this very powerful GX attack and really wipe a lot of damage off the board and be a lot safer in those matchups. So really, really powerful card. He also has resistance, so again, help against the Malamar players. 250 hit points, we're nice and out of range of all these Grambles, and this can one-shot a Gramble turn by turn, which is one of the biggest issues with the Guardi I found, is that against some of these non-GX decks, you don't have enough stopping power with just single attachments. You need to really dig hard to try and get KOs and commit a lot. This Solgaleo is a lot less commitment to do with non-GXs, so that's very good for you. Turbo Strike is a great attack for this deck. Next up, we're going to have the Ultra Road Solgaleo, the good old Sun and Moon base set 1, also rocking that 250 hit points, such a tanky, annoying Pokemon to deal with. Ultra Road is an insane ability for the deck as well. Once during your turn, you may switch your active with one of your bench Pokemon. Really saves us deck spaces, not having to play switches, and it again can help us from being stalled. Once again, there's these Zoroark decks. If you're using your DCs effectively to recover basic energy cards and have Ultra Road, they can't Guzma and stall anything. So we have decent outs against these Zoroark players, especially because 120 is enough to deal with Orangaroos, so that's very good for you. It also has this Sunsteel Strike attack, which is what we try and build towards with our other Solgaleo. It has 2 lightning and a colorless to deal 230, and you discard all energy from this Pokemon. That's a big commitment, but big one-hit KOs is amazing. You only need to do this maybe once or twice in a game to really take control of the board. This is really incredible, and what I love most is it synergizes, obviously, with this Turbo Strike attack, but you can just commit one Super Boost and detonate people at times as well. That's why I'm rocking the Swampert engine as opposed to a Zoroark engine, but bear the Zoroark engine in mind because I will be testing that, I think, tomorrow. So, yeah, Sunsteel Strike for 1 attachment sounds absolutely ridiculously powerful, and that's why I wanted to make this build, to be honest, all based on getting Sunsteel Strikes off with Super Boost, just for the whole highlight reel moment. When that comes off, you're so happy with that. We also have the Solburst GX attack, also pretty reasonable for us, allowing us to search our deck for 5 energy, attach them to our Pokemon in any way that we like. Obviously, you can just have 1 metal committed to him, Max Potion him later, while setting up your Cosmogs and Cosmoems and even Alolan Ninetales-GX in the back. So you're deck thinning for yourself whilst also setting up your other attackers throughout the board. So this is a really good GX attack. Again, very good against Zoroark because he pulls so much energy out at once that it's hard for them to sort of stamp you down with, you know, just 1 or 2 crushings and a Plumeria that turn. You'll just have so much energy on the board that eventually something will just make its headway and get some damage in there. So again, a good GX attack option for us to use if we want to. From there, we're going to play the 2/2 Alolan Ninetales. Beacon, obviously a huge factor for getting into our Stage 2s and even our Stage 1s. Alolan Ninetales-GX is what makes the deck tick, really. 200 hit points, Stage 1. Mysterious Guidance allowing us to grab 2 item cards. Oftentimes we're looking for rare candies and timables, and if it's the mid-game, we're looking for those powerful max potions to try and heal them off, or Choice Band for math fixing. We are playing 2 Fairy Energy. It's going to allow us to access the 2 attacks that Ninetales has to offer. Snowy Wind does 70 and 30 to the bench. This is actually really relevant math for you a lot of the time. If you're not going for big Sunsteel strikes, sometimes Turbo Strike will power up your Alolan Ninetales. 120 into 70 oftentimes deals with GXs whilst also putting 30 on things like Tapu Lele's so that we can set those up for future Turbo Strikes as well. So bear that in mind. Very cute math working between these 2 guys. So transitioning, making this Alolan Ninetales from, you know, setup piece to then an attacker is very, very, you know, common and powerful for this deck. It also has the Sublimation GX attack, a lot of help against things like Blacephalon and Buzzwole as well, so bear this in mind. It's a good GX attack to go for in those matchups. And what's great is, you know, healing against Buzzwole and Blacephalon isn't really worth it because they're going for one-shots. And Soul Burst, yes, it's good against those sorts of decks, but oftentimes you're not going to have that luxury. So Sublimation being an extra 1-hit KO option is really nice for us to have in the deck. From there, we're going to play the 2/1/2 line of Swampert. Obviously, Mudkip, the 60 hit point one that can also be Brooklet Hilled out. I'm playing Marshtomp now just because I like the access that Ditto gives you. It really just sorts your opening Elms a lot more. You sort of accept that you can't get the Super Boost rolling that quickly, but you just sort of present multiple threats and, again, ease the reliance of Rare Candy, which I kind of like. So the 1 Marshtomp and the 2 copies of Swampert Power Draw is a godsend for these sorts of Stage 2 decks, trying to keep them ticking over throughout the game. Super Boost can still work on Hydro Pump, and again, this can be useful against Blacephalon as an attacker. We are rocking those 2 Choice Bands. So Hydro Pump can get in there with the DCs, and if you're using things like Turbo Strike, you can help power him up as well. So definitely a useful attacker in those sorts of situations. The 1 Ditto, I've mentioned it a lot. Oftentimes you will open your Elm and have this as one of your 3 options. So it effectively means that you have like 2 Vulpix on your board, but if they don't knock out your Vulpix, like your physical actual beaconing Vulpix, the Ditto can then become a Cosmoem or a Marshtomp. If they do KO your beaconing Vulpix, it can become the Alolan Ninetales. So it helps you out in those. In the best case scenario, you can get an extra Stage 2 threatened, and in the worst case scenario, you still have an Alolan Ninetales. It really does protect you from just having to simply Elm for a second Vulpix, essentially. The only downside of using Ditto is that you have 1 less beacon that is naturally in your active, but we don't really mind having to pay retreat with our 6 basic energy cards because we have Turbo Strike anyway, so I feel like it's kind of worthwhile. 3 copies of Tapu Lele. I really like having high odds for early Elms, and 3 copies of this is going to be really nice. And again, Energy Drive is useful and usable in this deck with more energy acceleration with Turbo Strike, so bear that in mind. Onto the items, I really like how straightforward it is. I'm just going for 2 timers, 2 max potions, 4 of the candies and the Ultra Balls, and 2 copies of the Choice Bands. I think I've made my case for Choice Band already. Sunsteel Strike can actually, you know, knock out in mirrors and also against Decidueyes, which is a big deal. But it's also for helping your Turbo Strike math when you sort of consider the Snowy Wind doing 30 to things prior or 70 to things in the active. I feel like the Choice Band does get its value, as well as being able to attack your Swampert. So I feel like these 2 copies are useful. Everything else, again, sort of streamlined, and we can always use Ninetales to try and pick these out. I haven't gone too creative with like the counter catchers, the field blowers, the what's it called, rescue stretchers. I feel like the tricks are all in the Pokemon, and when you get the Pokemon rolling, that's all the sort of cuteness that we need. 2 copies of Brooklet, obviously as a counter stadium is nice, but also gets you supplementary Vulpix and Mudkips, which is always great. That same supporter line that we saw Robin use, the 4 Cynthia, 3 Guzma, 4 Professor Elm's Lecture. Do be careful with your 3 Guzmas. Obviously, you have Ultra Road, so you'll never get trapped, really. But we want to make use out of every Guzma possible so we can capitalize on those 2 prize Pokemon with Sunsteel Strike, most importantly. And to round it off, playing 11 energy for DCE, so vital for using your Turbo Strikes. These energy can be thrown away with Swampert, thrown away with Ultra Balls, retreated into Beacon quite happily in the early turns, looking to recycle them. And I think the 4-2 split is okay. If you wanted to go 3-3, I wouldn't hate you for it. It does lean you more slightly towards the Alolan Ninetales and less likely to get Sunsteel Strikes chaining. But at the same time, you don't need to chain Sunsteel Strike all that often, because you have that super boost that can be such a huge swing for you. Just one attach, boom, knockout. A lot of the time, once you've done one Sunsteel Strike, with like basic energy cards, they won't expect another one coming, so just slapping a super boost on will completely blow out the game and you'll win. So that's really incredible. Definitely a fun archetype, great to test this one, and it has the same feel as the Gardevoir build, so if you've already started testing that, this is definitely a fun one to try as well. In terms of other Pokemon you could be considering, I don't think there's too much. I would just suggest potentially the Water Alolan Ninetales-GX, because you're already playing 4 copies of DCE, and having some better Stage 1 options is going to be nice, and that Ice Blade again can do that 50 that can lead into Turbo Strike knockouts as well. This is also an annoying card for things like Gramble and Alolan Eggs, so it's not the worst card that you could consider in the world. I'm just not choosing to play it right now because I feel space is always going to be the headache for this deck. And I did mention a couple of those important one-offs, things like Field Blower, things like Counter Catcher, things like Enhanced Hammer, even things like Counter Gain. All of these one-offs I can definitely see considering, right? When you have Ninetales, you can always consider these cards as options. But right now, I'm, as always, trying to give you the simplistic version just to see how it functions and give you a good feel for this deck. So let's jump into some Solgaleo action. Should be a really fun time because it's always fun to try and build your board and get big 230 damage knockouts a roll-in. Similar concept to the Gardevoir, really. You don't have Twilight GX, which is a very versatile GX attack, but we try and make up for that with the very powerful ability of Ultra Road, big one-hit KO options, and also having the sort of less resource-intensive Turbo Strike attack that we have available to us. So I think the Solgaleo really is quite well positioned in the format right now. Its typing is fine for the most part, especially because you can remove your weakness. And it just feels like a pretty good option. So we don't have a supporter in our opening hand, but it's fine because we do have a good amount of basics here, and we have a turn 2 Guidance Swampert as long as our Alolan Vulpix isn't knocked out. So this is looking okay. Could potentially have led the Cosmog there for... Oh, wow. Okay. Hitting that Elm is incredible. I see a Sneasel, and honestly, Weavile is definitely trouble for us. We have abilities on just about every one of our dudes, so that is certainly scary. In this case, I think I want to get a second Vulpix rather than a Ditto. Typically, you always want Ditto. I'm still going to get Ditto. We can just evolve our Ditto into the Alolan Tails straight away. But this turn 1 is pretty solid, let's be fair here. Our turn 2 isn't that guaranteed right now. If we attach a DC active, we could evolve active, try and threaten this Sneasel straight away. If we power draw into one of our 2 fairy energies, not the highest odds. But at the same time, what else are we doing? I could also attach active so that I could find a DCE off the power draw. The alternatives, because we do have Guzma, we could go Guidance for Timer Candy, and then if the Timer gets heads, we can Solgaleo Guzma. This is close. I'm just going to pass. I'm not going to commit an attachment. Close, though. That's one of the things about the Guardi list. You can always catch up on attachments because of Secret Spring. This deck can't quite catch up on attachments quite as well. Obviously, when Turbo Strike's rolling, it's fine. But until that moment, it is a little bit worrying. Turn 1 Cynthia for the Zoro player isn't ideal. They're going to use some Fury Swipes. Get 20 damage on us. Okay, I feel like we want to evolve the back here. Oh, that's so close. Okay, we'll evolve the active. And I think I'm just going double candy. We have Ultra Ball, Timer Ball. Oh no, I could get the Timer, and if I get the Timer, I could get a second Ninetales. Yeah, this is our best move. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Okay, that ain't good. Let's see if Power Draw can bail us out. It can get us... It can get us Ultra Ball, Candy, Guzma. Commits 1, 2, 3, 4 abilities to our board. But I feel like I want to stop him doing all the stuff he wants. Try and capitalize on the slightly slower start from him. Let's get rid of two Guzmas in one turn, which is a bit awkward. I actually need to check if our last Guzma's in here. Yeah, it is. Okay. The next question is it Zorua or Vulpix, which is more important to knock out? I think it might be the Vulpix, you know, because the Vulpix can get him Ultra Ball for new supporter. And he only has a 3-card hand right now. He's actually more likely to have a Zoroark in hand, though. Okay, we'll do it this way around. Simply because he's more likely to have the Zoro in hand, we'll do it this way. Four abilities committed to our board once you see a Sneasel. That's all in for you right there, folks. All in. Picking up an energy is not bad. We can power draw that away and turbo strike it back onto the board. He actually promotes the Vulpix, so he may be committed to beaconing here. Oh, he has Ultra Ball. So he can Lele and do shenanigans. Still a slow turn for him. So our ideal is actually just to get a Marshtomp and Cosmoem and Turbo Strike an energy to the Cosmoem. Stretches back the Zorua. And Cynthia. And yeah, the beacon. Couple Zoros, that sounds good to me. Picking up a rare candy is pretty poggers. Picking up an energy is also poggers. Don't really want to give him an extra reason to KO our Cosmog. I think he already wants to do it. So I think I'll attach to this. I can always attach with the attack. Okay. We'll spread to multiple threats, I guess. I want to make him more tempted to deal with a Marshtomp. Because I want this Cosmoem to stick. Or Cosmog to stick. Try and make life awkward for him in every situation, really. Go down to 4 prizes. Potentially threatening 2 Swamperts is pretty busted as well. We could even Hydro Pump respond on this Weavile. So, here comes his double Zorro. Wow, was that my fire alarm? I guess it was. There's no fire though, pretty sure. Unless my cats are up to something. Couple trades. Timers for another Zorro. Do they already have the Weavile? Let's see. Looks like they've got... Oh, wow. Just scooped. Okay. Well, as long as he couldn't KO the Cosmog that turn, I felt like we were in pretty dominant control. We were quite likely to get second Swampert out if he did deal with the Cosmog as well. And 2 Swamperts on the board is pretty nuts. That's essentially 3 Zoroarks. Feels good. Let's get into our second game. So we have a Cosmog army. I'm just going to commit 1 to the board, I think. Yeah, I can commit 2. I can Ultra Ball Energy Cosmog and then retreat with the Cosmog into our beacon turn. It'll be fine. Looks like we're up against Blacephalon. Definitely a more difficult matchup for us. We need to be crafty and clever with our use of Turbo Strike, use of Super Boost, use of Sublimation. Lots of big brain turns ahead if we're going to win this game. It's similar to Blacephalon versus Gardevoir, to be honest. But it's so much easier for us to spam the Alolan Ninetales when you're the Gardevoir build. We happen to have led 2 Fair Energy though, so that's a feels good, man. Yep, they're going to turn 1 Lily. Sounds good to me. No energy in their hands, though. Acrobike, sure. There's the big clown. Still no energy. Finally, they've found Heat Factory to get rid of 1. There we go. Energy for turn. And it's over to us. DCE pickup. Interesting. Alright, let's get rid of these. Have a quick look. Wonder Tag is always here. Elm is here. Is Super Boost prized? Oh no. That's a pickle. We got to keep an eye on that for sure. Have both our Ninetales. Ditto is here. Both of our stage 1s. Good, good, good. Okay. So here's the plan. We beacon into the nuts, retreat away our fairy energy, and then turbo strike either the active or that Blacephalon that's going to come active, and set up our Alolan Ninetales in the back to do the 70 damage, finish it off. Sounds good to me. Let's get ourselves Ninetales, and I really want to get Swampert as well. Swampert's always the boy that gets us drawing, that gets us into everything. It may be a little greedy though. The Ninetales plus Solgaleo play is already so strong for us because we're already holding this DCE, and it sets up our plan so nicely because this is our backup attacker. And because we have Cynthia, I'm going to go for this route. Slightly risky not going straight for the engine, I know, but missing an attack is going to be huge. Like, we could just lose the game if we miss an attack here, so I think we need to secure that. And if he was just a Guzma KO the Mudkip, we'd feel very sad about our pick if this was a Swampert. And that's the only, like, outstanding one-off right now. The Vulpix can, like, the Ditto can become the Tails absolutely fine. Looks like he is just going to Cynthia here. Had to commit a second Lele to his board, which is pretty good for us. Those are quite easy to pick off with our snipe damage into, like, choice banded attacks with turbo strike, so really not bad for us. So you're going to pay retreat out of Naga. Yep. It's going to be a burst, or is it going to be a mind blown? He has got his second Naga to charge up again. We'll see what he wants to do here. I'd actually prefer a mind blown because it moves our Solgaleo active. It's going to continue to set up his board, which I can't argue with really. There's a big old rainbow clown. Feels good, man. Yep, he's just going to deal with the Vulpix. That's fine. This is why you get the Ditto. Wow, we actually ripped a rare candy off the top, so now we can go timeable candy for the biggest dream of all time. Rip the dream. Well, maybe we can recycle it with Cynthia anyway. Definitely not. So choice band definitely something we need to be aware of and use effectively. That sets us up with the Guzma play. That double tails really does stink, so that we couldn't get the Swampert online because our hand is a little bit faulty right now. Here comes some charging ups. Okay, so he's just going to burst GX this turn, I imagine. Oh no, he's going to try and burn us. Okay. This is fine. So we've set ourselves up for the Ninetales double KO jump over B-string definitely win. Force him to have Guzma in his hand. It's a shame we couldn't get another Vulpix into play. I think this is all down to the double tails, to be honest. The board looks so much cleaner if we just have a Swampert and our hand starts rolling. It would have been great. And that is sometimes the risk of Timer Ball. I guess we were lucky to be in that position anyway. Wow! No Guzma. Pog Champ. That's pretty nuts. He's going to get rid of a bunch of cards that aren't called Guzma. So we can still climb over and have a pretty convincing game plan here. He should probably just remove the energy. He should keep 2 energy on a Naga. Actually, keeping 1 is fine. He's fine. Yeah, he did clear off his clowns. Unfortunately, our hand is still kind of dead, unless we can draw something good here. Second Mudkip isn't bad for us, to be honest. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm trying to think if this DC is better on a Mudkip or on a Lele here. I think it might have to be the Mudkip. That's so easy for him to gust kill it though. Let's spread the threats. And we mentioned how nice that Choice Band was. It's really done us solid here. Jumping over B-string. They do have their turning point turn, so things could still go south here. There's finally a Swampert. No candies in sight though. No supporters either. Oh, jeez. This is awkward. We're still in top deck mode. Damn it, Timer Ball. Damn it, Timer Ball, why? Why are you betraying me like this? We're very worried if they can get Guzma plays or Beast Energy plus Choice Band. That's the worst outcome. Even a Guzma play on a Mudkip is bad, or a Cosmog. Both of those plays are bad for us. They failed Treasure. Are they going to Marshadow us? I don't know what they're going for here. They're going to Cynthia. No Guzma play, which is good. If this Alolan Ninetales can tank, that would be the dream. They're stretchering. Getting a Bucephalon. If they attach that clown, it could be a loss condition. We're a Guzma away from game because we have our GX attack now. They've taken a big risk here. Especially because our hand is so big. Do they have E-Switch? Maybe it's because they have E-Switch. No. Wow. What a risk. They just lost the game. They literally just lost the game. I thought they were bursting burning, but not even. They just straight up lost. Well, whoops. Plenty of text to this card, my boy. I know it's hard to reach all the way down to that bottom attack, but it's an important one. Okay, let's get into our last game. So we were able to beat a slightly slower Zoroark and a slightly questionable clown. A clowny clown, I guess. Let's see what we get in our last game. But it's nice, in both games actually we've hit double tails and still been able to do enough to win. We were pretty lucky in that second game to find both of our fair energies. You need to find one, but still. Again, we have a really nice hand here. We can Elm Beacon, always a good thing. Looks like we're up against a Mally, and we do have to think about the Prominence GX attack to heal off if he is spread. That looks to be the case. We can Prominence GX, we can do knockouts with Solgaleo, Setting up knockouts with Ninetales. We have lots of threats that we can do here. We play 2 Max Potion as well. Feels like it's not the worst of matchups. And he's led his only GX, so we can try and prey on this boy as well. As they have a pretty nice opening start here. No energy to discard, but everything else looks good. Psychic active, sure. Picking up a Swampert, it's all getting just even better from here. Let's grab ourselves Elm. I should actually look at the Pokemon I'm trying to pull out here. It's this squad. We have both our stage 1s again, both Ninetales, both Max Potions, all of our candies, both stadiums. We have Super Boost, couple energy prized, 1 fairy, 1 metal, 1 Guzma in the prizes, 1 Lele. All looks pretty good. This is correct, isn't it? Yeah. Again, Ditto so versatile. In this spot, it feels like the Alolan Vulpix might well survive. And in that case, we're going to be in great shape. So, we'll grab ourselves an Alolan Ninetales. And I think it's going to be just a Shining Mane Solgaleo here. Might be a basic. We have so much search for the stage 2 already. Maybe it's second Mudkip. Maybe it's just a Cosmoem if I'm feeling greedy to evolve the Ditto. Do I even need it to be a second Solgaleo? I could just make it another Swampert even. Swamperts draw more cards. Let's get greedy. Super Boost Swampert can deal with his board really efficiently. You don't need to be doing big Sunsteel strikes until later on to deal with this guy. So second... Oh, the Judge. He runs Judge. Now I feel a lot less happy about this situation. Yep, that's one of the big issues of this deck, obviously, is that Judge is a big issue. Judge and Let Loose. Didn't happen in our first 2 games, but this is obviously a very slow turn for us now, unless we happen to high roll a Candy or an Alolan Tails or an Ultra Ball or a Supporter. Didn't high roll any of those. We even drew the card that I was going to Brooklet out. It's a bit of a shame. Do I commit an attachment to anything? I think I do. And we'll once again go for Beacon. We'll do this and try and develop double swamp and get a ridiculous hand. That sounds good, right? Draw 6 before his Supporter. Draw 7 with draw for turn. Okay, he's gonna Flying Flip, it looks like. He can repower up his Necrozma if he wants to. Necrozma obviously capable of big damage. He does need 5 energy to knock out our Solgaleos because of resistance, though. Normally, you only ever see 4 energy on their guys. Actually, because of the Flying Flip, it will just be 4. Unless we heal. Okay, let's do it. I would like 2 rare candies, please. I would like 2 Swamperts, please. I would like all the cards in the world, please. We're not going to evolve into this one first. Even though Ultra Road is pretty good. Am I going to commit an attachment to anything? If I commit an attachment, I should power draw first, I'm pretty sure here. Don't really want to get rid of Stadium. Don't want to get rid of any of these cards. I guess I'll get rid of the energy. DC. So we could DC Guzma, promote, bring this, hit it for 80, get it in range. Try and sort of waste his Black Ray / waste his Prismatic Burst on this. I think that's our best move. Sets up a Solgaleo for next turn. We'll just go Cynthia, cycle. We'll have such ridiculous odds of trying to even get the Ninetales to get us into the stage 2 next turn. Super Boost is also working next turn as well, most likely. I could commit it to a Swampert and just start going in. Just detonating the active turn by turn. He's going to pay retreat. Okay, that's fair. Hitting this Coco for 80 is not bad. It moves into Snowy Wind quite nicely with more Guzma plays. We have to keep track of these though. Annoyingly, it has Metal Resist, so the Solgaleo can't one-shot it. So you're always having to two-shot through Cocos. But remember, we have the Prominence GX attack that we will be using this game. So I think we're just cycling with Cynthia here. Even though Super Boost is very good, I think I'd rather attach a basic energy to an Alolan Ninetales this turn. So we'll Cynthia the fresh hand because it has no pieces of Rare Candy combo. There's an energy straight away. There's our Ninetales that can get us combo. We're already holding Ultra Ball. Is it better just for us to Ultra Ball away these two targets? How many Cosmog have we gone through? None, so yes is the answer. We can do this. Grab ourselves our boy. Can do this. Am I just pulling... Oh, I don't really want to get rid of the tails. I want to get value from it. It looks like I'm only pulling it for one item that's useful. And that sounds like a Max Potion, and then plus a card that we don't need anymore, like a Timeable. To start as power drawing. It's kind of silly of me to Ultra Ball first. I shouldn't have done that. I should have power drawn those Pokemon that I discarded away. But it's worked out okay here. Getting rid of a Stadium feels bad, but I think we have to here. We want to keep cycling for cards. Draw us back into a Guzma is our best move. Maybe I should have taken Choice Band over the Max Potion, thinking about it now. Because if we can Choice Band Guzma, we can KO this and this in the same turn with Snowy Wind. Then again, we still can draw a lot of cards next turn. We do have to keep an eye on our damage. He could also be thinking about Guzma play. There's a Nest Ball. Ooh, it's the Psychic Lele already. 16, 20, 24. 25, 26, 27, 28 with Shrine. Even attaches to it, that's pretty spooky. So the dream is Guzma Choice Band off these next 6 cards. Well, now it's got to be very lucky. We got the Guzma. Is it simply Guzma KO this with 2 prizes? 6, 12, 18, 24, 36, 36. I mean, it deals with our Solgaleo, but what else? That's really slow if he wants to do that. Just trying to figure out what our best attack is here. Also trying to think if it's worth me max potting anything. I don't think it is. I think we can get more value out before we use Prominence. I want to get this out of the way so we can't just get big black-grey like domination. Straight out the gate. That's where one of our choice bands was. Two of our Guzmas are gone, and I do want to get this out of the way so I can do a Snowy Wind attack at some point. This might be our Prominence turn though, if he just wants to Flying Flip again. Stadium Replace Prominence feels like pretty strong. He's got to see it coming though, right? He's not just going to Flying Flip, surely. That just feels like despair for him. The only thing about using Prominence before Black-Ray is that he will Black-Ray at some point. So it feels like we're going to... He may be thinking that he's baiting the Prominence just by doing one Flying Flip here. And then he'll do a Black-Ray, but we're still holding 2 max pots. So I feel kind of confident. Just a little annoying that we might have to go through this Tapu Koko like twice. Let's see what he wants to do. He's going to Psychic Recharge the Lele. I think he's going to try and commit to it now. While he still can. Guzma, sure. It's a lot of counters to commit if he wants to get rid of one of our stage 2s. Looks like he's going for the Lele here. So he puts 160 here. Then he still has 200 to play with. So is he going to deal with the Ninetales as well? Did we get too greedy? Maybe we got too greedy. We'll have to wait and see. You should probably kill this, right? You gotta think he'll do that, yeah. So that's all his spreads committed. Only 2 manis on the board, so he can't burst out in a Cosmo to get a big Prismatic Burst KO. Because he's committed too many damage counters. I guess if he leaves 1 damage here, but he's not doing that. Oh no, the Shrine, of course. Okay. So the Shrine makes this into a 3 energy Prismatic Burst Guzma play. His hand size is 2, but it will be large after this turn, so we have to worry about Energy Stretcher Guzma being his combo to win. Right, there it is. There goes little Ditto, and there goes Lele. That's definitely the first thing we're doing. So ideally we deal with a Malamar so he can't do the big win condition win. I'll ask what Guzma's prized, of course. So it looks like Super Boost is our best move. The question is, do I heal 10 damage to stay out of Stretcher Guzma energy range? And I think the answer is yes, you know. Yep. Gotta respect it. Gotta respect it. Force him to have Stadium as well, or Choice Band. The Guzma Rip is pretty nice. Oh, the Tina now is the thing that can get him into range. He can still win then. It can now be Tina, Stretcher, Guzma energy. I'm very happy that he's committing Psych Energies to a Coco here. Makes it hard of him to burst a Necrozma out. Which makes me very, very happy. Man, maybe E-Switch is a card I should play in this deck. Or Multi-Switch, I mean. Not much help there. It's so annoying that we have gone through so many Guzmas. I'd really like to finish this off with a Snowy Wind. I should be concerned about Shadow Impact as well. Okay, we're just going to take the knockout. It's going to be a slow grind. Let's see if he can get the Necrozma play out this time. There's Mimikyu. Again, needs Stretcher Guzma. And lots of ways to put the Psyche in the discard pile at this point. Because he's commit 2 to a Coco. I think we're pretty safe now, to be honest. Now then. Do we retreat Prominence for extra safety? I think we do. Trying to reset those turns a little bit. Yeah, we just flying flip. That's good for us. Now we're Guzma or Mimikyu away from game. I think we're pretty safe at this point. Can't think that there's much that he can do. Obviously, he can let loose us out of the Guzma. But I can't see him bursting a KO on us, not with the amount of Psychics he has in his discard pile. None. Yeah, we got game. Whew, that was scary and thinky at times. He used that Lele at a good moment, to be honest, and put us really on the back foot. But fortunately, we were able to close the game. That Mimikyu was maybe an error from him to put it into play. But I don't think there was much he could have done after that sort of stage. So yeah, 3 wins for Solgaleo. Definitely a cool deck. Potentially better than the Gardevoir build. Who knows? We didn't do any big Sunsteel Strike PogChamp 230 damage detonations. But honestly, we didn't need to. The combination of Turbo Strike and Fairy Alolan Ninetales putting in the work, doing those spreads, setting up damage for one another. Really nice synergy between these 2 cards alone. That the Sunsteel Strike is, you know, not an afterthought per se, but definitely a really strong attack that you can have waiting in the wings for big knockouts. So yeah, really cool deck. Let me know what you guys think about it. I might be taking it to a cup this weekend, so keep an eye out for it. Definitely a load of fun. A bunch of stage 2s, doing lots of damage, cool abilities all over the shop. So yeah, I will be seeing you in another video. Once again, repping the Solgaleo with Zoroark next time. Should be a lot of fun. Cheers for watching.